You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 102 of Teach Better Talk. I'm Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with the Browns football fan, Jeff Gargas.
Yeah?
I had to do that, Jeff, because our guest is not a big Browns fan, and so that was a very funny conversation we had that I don't think actually is going to make it into our recording, but I wanted to make sure our listeners heard it.
Yeah, no, that was before we got started with Pam. It turns out that Pam she's in South Carolina now, but she was actually originally from Pittsburgh, and if anybody doesn't know, I'm from Northeast Ohio. I'm currently in Akron, so I'm just a little bit away from Cleveland. I've been a Browns fan my whole life, so it's kind of fun. I talked about it with Pam too, but Chad's actually a big Steelers fan. The Steelers and the Browns have this massive rivalry that goes. It didn't matter how bad the Browns have been forever. It's still a really crazy rivalry, but Chad and I seem to make it work, so we're okay.
Do you want to talk about soccer? Because I can't talk about football with you.
I don't think we have time if we get into soccer right now.
Okay, good. Let's stop there.
Okay.
What we can talk about is what's going on in our private group right now that I'm hoping our listeners can benefit from.
Yes, let's do that instead.
So this September, we decided to do something really similar to what we also did all summer long, which was provide free professional development in our Facebook group. And Jeff, I'm sure you've heard me say the story a million times, but the only reason we had I wouldn't even call it an idea. The only reason we had this idea to do free PD in the Facebook group was because the people in the group asked for it. And I was so proud to be a part of a group of teachers that were advocating for what they wanted. It sounds silly, but we encourage our students to do that. And sometimes teachers are the worst students. They don't always advocate like, hey, Jeff and Ray and Chad and Tiffany, could you just do some free PD? So all summer long, once a week, we did about an hour and a half free professional development series on so many different topics. And we had such incredible response from that group that we decided to do another series this September that we are about halfway through right now when this recording is going to post.
Yeah, and these have been just crazy well received. I mean, the summer series was insane, and that's why we decided to do it in September, because it went so well. And during the summer, we had so many teachers engaged, so many awesome questions, and so we couldn't not do it again.
But
right?
It's so easy. They're pre-scheduled. As an organized teacher, you throw it in your calendar on your phone, and then you pop in. And you can either, sit back and kind of relax from your day and kind of soak in a little bit of PD before you get in your PJs and go to sleep at 7 o'clock because we're all exhausted. Or you can be that active participant. You can get on your computer and not just watch it, but actively participate in question. So it's kind of the perfect, middle ground.
Yeah, it really is, and the same is being said for the current ones in September. I mean, it's just awesome, well received, and we have such a great group there. If you're not already in the group, go to teachbettergroup.com. That'll take you to it, or just go to facebook.com/group/teachbetterteam, or just search for Teach Better Team on Facebook, and you'll find that group. Get in there right now. There's already been two of them are done so far in September. You can always watch those. The videos stay in the group. But we have 2 more coming up this month as well. Ray, can you tell us about the ones that have happened so far and what we got coming up?
Absolutely. So the whole focus of September was to revamp, reflect, and re-envision. And so it was kind of to give you some time to get your feet wet back in your classroom and then stop for a moment and say, all right, how's it going? Are we still living up to the goals that we set this summer and at the end of last year? So the first session that happened September 6th was 7 Ways to Save Your Teaching Career by Chad. I know you know a ton about this topic, Jeff, because this was really how the Teach Better team was built. But these were the 7 changes that Chad made to save his teaching career when he was having like the worst year of his life. And for those of you who have read the Teach Better book, you probably know a little bit about Chad's really rough year in the classroom. But I loved that he reflected on his live session and talked about the 7 ways that he made massive changes. It's a very cool live stream. He did a really nice job on that. So, Jeff, the next 2 sessions are happening. One's going on September 17th, and that's all you, dude. So what are you sharing about on September 17th?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about social media basics for teachers. Essentially going through the ways in which you can utilize social media to engage with and communicate with your students, your stakeholders, your community. We're going to talk about some ways that you can be safe on social media, be smart on social media. And essentially, this is something that I talk about a lot, at a conference and stuff that I'm passionate about, which is the idea that social media is here. It's not going anywhere. The platforms might change, but it's going to be around. And it's something that our students, our stakeholders, our parents, our community members, our colleagues, everyone's on it. So the biggest thing that I like to push out is that instead of fearing it, instead of trying to fight it, why don't we put the right stuff on it? Why don't we utilize it for the right reasons? So we're going to go through a whole bunch of different ways that we've seen some amazing educators utilizing it to engage with their student stakeholders, and some tips and ideas for you to put it in place in your classroom. So.
Well, I hope all of our listeners choose to check that out. That will be September 17th at 8 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I think that's going to be a great session, Jeff. I'm stoked for that one. The last one we're doing in September, believe it or not, is September 24th. So if you've seen a pattern, it's once a week, all September. And on September 24th at 8 o'clock Eastern, I'll be going live in our private group, and we are going to focus on the reflection of the goals that we've had this summer and what steps we need to take as educators to ensure we're back on track to continue our fall semester. So it's going to be hopefully a really helpful live video at 8 o'clock Eastern to just go through the struggles we've had thus far, kind of refocus our mindset, ask the questions that we haven't yet had time to ask, brainstorm a little about the students that we finally had a chance to meet, and really take that energized, positive step forward in the right direction.
I love it. I love that we're able to do this as another resource for teachers. One of the things that we do is we try to create as many resources as possible for teachers, which leads us right into this episode of Teach Better Talk. Pam Olivieri is rocking resources. That's what she's doing. She referred to herself as that 80s chick who loves her rock and roll music. She's super passionate about what she does. She had 26 years in the classroom, grades 2nd through 8. She spent a big majority of about 10 years of that in 4th grade. And now she works full-time producing and creating curriculum underneath rockandresources.com, and really dives into sort of how she got there, why she loves it so much, what she focuses on when she's working on curriculum, when she's talking with teachers, when she's working with them and stuff. She shares some great stories from her time in the classroom and some stuff from now. We dive in a little bit into getting started on Teachers Pay Teachers, if that's something that someone's interested in, and really get into just sort of, her thoughts on what you need to be thinking about when you're looking for resources, when you're creating things for your classroom, when you're setting yourself up. So I really enjoyed this. She's super fun, really passionate, really excited, upbeat. You just kind of want to jam with her, which is funny because she uses that's my jam a lot. So I'm excited for people to hear this. I think there's a lot of great value in here from Pam. Ray, anything specific you took away from the episode?
No, I just think that she's doing incredible things. So don't just listen, but go connect with her. She's constantly sharing new ways for us to grow as educators.
All right, let's get to episode 102 with Pam Olivieri. What's up, podcast? It's Jeff. Hey, we're going to get right back in the episode, but I wanted to jump in and make sure you are aware of the Teach Better Conference coming November 8th and 9th here in Northeast Ohio. You can get all the information over at teachbetterconference.com. Make sure you use the code PODCASTTALK to save $50 on either one of those 2-day registrations. I look forward to seeing you in November at Teach Better Conference. Let's get back to the episode. All right, we're here and we're talking with Pam Olivieri. And Pam, it is super awesome to have you on the podcast. Really excited to kind of dive into your story and your background and what you're doing and get talking with you. Before we get any further to that, how are you feeling today?
I'm having a good day. It's pretty hot here in South Carolina, but other than that, staying inside and staying cool.
Hot weather is never my thing, but I guess I wish for it when it's the middle of February. I'm like dying for some nice weather.
So true. So true.
See, I love the snow. I'm not gonna lie, I love the snow.
I know. I think I'm more of a cold weather person, but like today in Illinois, it was like in the early 70s. Like that's a good temperature for me.
Oh, 70s are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we're at too.
Well, Pam, I know we're going to dive into so many different things that you have so much to share today, but I want to start us off kind of how we typically do, where we can all just kind of learn about your background, where you are in education, and kind of answering that key question of how you describe yourself and all that you do. Would you mind sharing a little bit with us?
Sure. First of all, I want to thank you guys for having me on here. I just love what you're doing and with all the podcasts. I mean, just seeing what these wonderful teachers and educators are coming up with is just fabulous. So I want to thank you for having me on. So originally when somebody would ask me what I did, it was really hard for me to come up with exactly what I do. But I was a teacher for 26 years, like we had talked. But I basically will just tell them that I develop language arts and social studies curriculum for teachers and homeschool parents, schools, and districts, and then I sell them online. I have a store at TPT, and I also have my own store on my website. But that's basically what I'm doing every day, just working with curriculum, diving deep into different districts' curriculum and seeing what will work for them. And what I really try to do differently with my resources after being in the classroom for so long is I try to take everything that I do and include my vision with it, which is to motivate, educate, and differentiate. Because as a teacher, I was always trying to find ways to motivate my students to learn. Of course, we all educate, but I like to talk about explicit teaching. And then differentiation is so key because not everybody in your classroom learns the same way. And so I try to really incorporate those things into my resources. So that's basically what I do all day is work on curriculum and seeing how I can help other teachers.
That sounds like a fun day today.
Yeah. And I mean a pretty awesome career. So 26 years teaching, grades from 2 through 8, right?
Yes.
So a wide range there, and then now in your own business, creating curriculum, working with teachers, and looking to help others and stuff. That's a lot of different cool avenues. You're taking a kind of a crazy journey. So I'm excited to kind of dive into this next question of a time that you've had a failure. So can you share a story with us about a time that you've had a failure? Just kind of take us there with you. What happened? How did it make you feel? How did you overcome that? And then what did you learn from that?
Sure. Well, I'd like to talk about when I was in the classroom, my failures there. And because I really like some of your other podcasts. I think Kathleen had talked about how it's okay to not know all the answers. And I love that. And I think it was Matt that talked about having honest feedback. And that is so key because the big thing is as a new teacher, you're not going to know everything and you're not going to know, how to make your room look beautiful and have your classroom management set up perfectly and do everything right off the bat. Yeah, it would be great if you could, but it's not realistic. So what I'd like to talk about is my failure with classroom management. So when I first started teaching, I was so busy on building relationships. I wanted my students to like me. I wanted them to learn for me. But my management plan was not that great. And I really learned the hard way because, when I would take my students out into the hallway or out to recess, they weren't as, well behaved as the other kids. And I mean, I had them in control in the classroom unless something, came up that, I really needed to come down on a student for, and I just didn't know how to handle it. And so building up a good classroom management plan was really key for me. And I took it as a learning experience. So, I went and got help from some of my mentors. I went and got some professional development and read some books and found like a management system that worked for me. And once I did that and had complete control of my class, everything just really fell into place. And, I was surprised at how well the students took to it, because I always thought, I can't be hard on them. I really want them to like me. But that's not the case. They really like to have that stability and the expectations set in front of them. And I quickly learned that I had way more respect from them after that point. So, having a good rapport with the students is absolutely important, but including some good classroom management is also key to having a smooth transition in the day.
Absolutely. So now let's flip that now. Let's talk about a
Okay.
successful moment. All right, can this be something big, something small, but tell us what happened, why was it a successful moment for you, and then what did you take away from that experience?
Okay. Um, okay, I'll talk about something that happened with one of my administrators. So we all have, one of those administrators out there that is so big into test scores. And I've never been that person. I've never really focused on my students' test scores. I was more into their growth and, seeing what they can accomplish throughout the year with me and what they're doing. And what's on paper isn't always, the true indication of what the student can do. But we all have those administrators that, want that. And I understand that too. I mean, that's part of the education system. But she was really into the test scores, and our school was struggling with writing. And one year I just decided, you know what? I'm going to take this year to focus on one thing. And that's another important thing for new teachers is don't, take everything, have to do everything at once. Like I would take one thing and really focus on it and see what would really work. And what I did is I found ways to motivate my writers, and I found ways to, I developed like a scaffolding list of lesson plans that would help with my modeling, and gave them a lot of brainstorming activities and lots of lists and samples to help them, like those little reluctant writers that don't want to do anything for you. That little bit of assistance really, really helped them. And when I went in at the end of the school year, I thought I was getting called into the principal's office. I thought I was in trouble. And I went in and she told me how high my scores were. And I was just so thrilled to see, how high, the growth that the students had, that she actually was able to see that. And so my advice to every teacher out there is never stop trying. This was actually later in my career. And, I found something that worked. And I just thought, it was just a great success story to hear it from the principal who's always looking at those test scores.
Absolutely. Pam, I think you touched on a really important element of growth. I mean, we can talk about all these goals we have as educators and always striving to better. But just as we were working on ourselves to grow, we want our students to grow. And I love that that was the mindset you shared. While data is important and that's like a separate conversation, the idea that you wanted your students to grow, and that was a mission you carried with you, is something I very much connected with. I think that's a very cool mindset to have as a progressive educator, and really see each student as an individual and see their growth over the course of your time that you were able to work with them. I think that's so important. As I'm hearing you, you seem to be passionate about a lot of things.
Yeah, sometimes I get a little overexcited, but
no,
that's okay.
I think it's cool to be overexcited. That's a good thing.
Thanks.
But what is exciting you right now? What's keeping fueling your fire? What's something that you're really seeing come about that you've become very passionate about?
Ooh, okay. So this is what keeps me up at night, because I'm always trying to find ways to help and, what else can I do? So I'm super excited that I'm now, like, I took the business a little step further from just offering the digital resources, and I got into professional development. So it was really tough for me at first because of the video fear. But once I got past that obstacle, then it became so much easier. But it was about 3 years in the making. So it wasn't no quick little thing that I came up with. I've been brainstorming and trying to find, great ideas for teachers and teaching writing. And I decided to come up with the online training. So I am just super excited about that because I do have a writing program out there that has really, done well in many classrooms and turned a lot of reluctant writers into rock star writers. And I thought, what is missing? And, as a teacher, whenever I was looking for something, something I was struggling with or whatever, I was always looking for professional development. So I was like, okay, I got to get past my video fear and just go with it. And I'm so glad I did because we just launched it not too long ago. We're getting ready to do some more advertising and stuff for it. But I think it'll really, truly help teachers out there with their instruction. So I'm really excited about that. That's one of my things that keeps me up at night and gets me up in the morning. And I'm excited to see where we can take it.
Absolutely. That's a great accomplishment. I'm thrilled to hear that you're so excited about that. As you're leading that professional development, that kind of leads extremely well into the next question I was going to ask you. Obviously with the Teach Better team, we do a lot of district trainings and online learning and blogging and all that fun stuff. But it's always tricky to provide one piece of advice. So I'm going to challenge you here with a piece of advice for a new teacher, which I know is so challenging, but even in your success and failure story, you alluded back to a moral. I heard you in both stories say, so this is what I learned. And so that makes you seem very reflective. And I think that you're going to really be able to hit this one on the head. But what advice do you have for new teachers that are looking to improve? What do they need to be working on?
Well, I know I have so many great ideas, but I actually just put a blog post out recently about 30 plus tips for teachers, especially new teachers. And I keep adding to it. So that's why it's plus. It's probably up to about 50 now, but I just try to add more things just to give them ideas, but try not to overwhelm them at the same time. But if I had to pick just one, I'm going to have to go with my passion, and that is motivation. Because that was me as a teacher from day one. I was always looking to motivate my students and, what really gets them ticking? What can I do to, get them out of their shell and really, truly, dig deep into the material? So motivation is one thing that I think that every teacher should try to find ways to get students pumped up to learn. And a few ideas would be like to use lyrics. Well, of course, I love lyrics because my name is Rockin' Resources and I'm that 80s chick and I love my music. But kids love it too. So I use lyrics for poetry analysis, sometimes for comprehension, and for other things that, you can really dig into the lyrics of a song, and then you could play the song for them and, watch them get all excited over the music. But I would find songs to go along with some of our boring history lessons. There's, what did I use? I think it was called Tunes That Teach. And I had the Tunes That Teach went along with every one of our history lessons, and the kids would just be bopping in their seat. And I would play it before each one of our history lessons on that subject, and they would be so excited about that. But, and then chants, definitely chants. I would come up with little chants to get the students all pumped up, like for writing. I'm going to do a little chant for you guys. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. So for writing, I would get them all excited and I'd be like, hey guys, we're ready for our chant. And the whole class would stand up and do the chant together. And it'd be, writing is my jam. Everything I want to say is going in my writing today. I'm ready to rock my writing. And
Love it.
and you guys can't see me bebopping in my seat right now, but I was, because that's the way I was in the classroom. So I was doing it the same way. But definitely have ways to motivate them, to, get excited about learning, because if they see you excited, then they get excited.
I love it. I was going to ask another question, but I think I just want you to do a few more chants at this point. So,
I love it.
So I wanted to, so you do a lot of, you create a lot of resources a lot, and
Yeah.
you do a lot on. You referred to it earlier, TPT. For anyone listening who wasn't sure what TPT is, it's teacherspayteachers.com.
Right.
And you've done very well on there, and you have a lot of stuff on there. So if I'm a teacher who has a lot of ideas, a lot of creativity, maybe I'm looking for a little bit of a side hustle type deal, or I just really want to share my stuff out, and I'm thinking maybe Teachers Pay Teachers is the way to go. Can you kind of give us what are the first steps, 1, 2, 3 steps, whatever it is, that I should do as a teacher to get started successfully on Teachers Pay Teachers?
Well, I would. The good news for new people starting out is all of us old bees. I mean, I started in 2008. So all of us that went through the stages of not knowing what in the world we were doing, and tons of trial and error and lots of failures. All of that is taken care of now. I mean, there are tutorials, there's classes you can take. TPT offers a forum where you can go on and see what other people are saying. I mean, I didn't even know how to make a PDF when I started. So what I suggest is to learn about it and go on and learn as much about it and find the right steps on how to get started. Because I mean, I was just flying by the seat of my pants, to be honest with you, and just trying everything out to see what works. But now there's actually strategies that go along with it. So read up. Definitely read up.
Awesome. All right, so let's do the next 6 questions. And we're going to do them with your goal being to answer each one in 15 seconds or less.
Okay.
You ready to rock it out?
Okay.
All right. What is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
Okay. What do you mean by ed tech tool, real quick?
A piece of technology you can't live without.
The tablets.
Tablets. All right.
Yep.
Give us a book that you're reading right now.
Where the Crawdads Sing. I'm not reading it yet because my daughter took it first, but we bought it and she's reading it first.
All right. My wife does the same thing with her mom, and they just pass them around. Who do we need to follow on Twitter today?
That's a tough one because I don't do Twitter.
Let's switch it. I know you're big on Instagram. Give us 3 Instagram followers, up to 3. A few people on Instagram. Who do we need to follow? Who should we connect with?
Oh, okay, sure. Teacher Next Door, One Stop Teacher Shop, and Create, Share, Teach.
Awesome. Give us a good YouTube channel or website for educators.
Oh, that's a good one. I love Schoolhouse Rocks, and they are Disney educational productions.
Love it. Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Daily bins. That's a no-brainer. Daily bins, put Monday through Friday on them, print out your resources, gather books and materials, and place them in that day so that they're ready to go.
Awesome. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Having a reasonable management plan and following through. They love to know those expectations. So definitely that.
Loving it. Nice.
Because I learned the hard way. So start right away with that.
I think that's so important. It's so tricky. I know, Jeff, we've talked a ton about that in our private Facebook group. Like tips for management is always something that even when we do 2 live videos on it, by the 3rd video, people are still asking, okay, I want another one. What's another way to better support my classroom management? So it's continuously something teachers are improving on.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, Pam, I so appreciate all the insight, and I mean all of it, all the insight you've been able to share, including your amazing chant. And I want to make sure that our listeners can not only connect with you, but hopefully read some of your blogs and be a part of all the other work that you're doing. Would you mind sharing how they can stay connected?
Sure. We're all over Instagram. I actually, my daughter got a marketing degree from University of South Carolina, and she works for me now. So having that fresh, young take to my Instagram just has really helped out. So she takes all of my resources and different things that I'm doing and puts it on Instagram. So Rockin' Resources, no G, just Rockin', ROCKIN, resources. You can find us on Instagram. Also, I have a website that has a blog and all other kinds of information, and that's where my professional development is and all that kind of stuff. That's rockandresources.com. And I have tons of teacher tips and, gosh, hundreds of blog posts. So they can definitely go there for some free ideas and good advice. I have a Facebook page, and that's the only thing different from all my other social media, and that's Rock and Teaching Resources. And that's just how I had started it out. And then I just started a YouTube channel, so I'm adding things to that, and that's Rock and Resources as well.
Awesome. And you can find all the links and resources and everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those important links for connecting with Pam, keeping this conversation going, and checking out all the amazing resources she has. There are so many of them, it's crazy. So make sure you head over to the show notes over at teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes, and if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd really appreciate that as well. Let's continue to take this one step further. Think of 3 of your colleagues who need to hear the amazing stories that educators like Pam are sharing here on Teach Better Talk, and share this podcast with them. Pam, this was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. You have so much to offer teachers with all your resources. You work so hard at that, it's crazy.
Oh,
and your 26 plus years of being in the classroom and now work with teachers and creating resources is invaluable. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing stuff with us, having some fun. Just thank you.
Yes, well, thanks for having me. This was great.
All right, until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.
Yep, let's rock it out.
Oh, good. I'm going to keep that in there.
Love it.
Awesome.
I don't know how to phrase this to you without sounding like dramatic, but your social media free course is really stupid good. It's really good. I just think it's like people don't understand what that course actually is. It has so much in it that I think people have no idea that they would really benefit from. Me complimenting you, I have recorded right now, so I regret every moment.